Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Freedman, Matt F. the Oracle. Welcome to the Betting Pros podcast brought to you by BetMGM, where you can get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 when you use the highly original promo code BettingPros with your first deposit. All right, here with me for a special episode breaking down the Week 16 Christmas games as well as Monday Night Football is Pat Fitzmaurice. Pat, are you snowed in yet?
We aren't, Freedman. We're about to get socked by this big storm, whiteout conditions. They've dialed down the snow forecast, fortunately, maybe only 4 to 6 or so, but man, it's going to be like sub-zero wind chills, 50-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. Perfect Christmas weather, right?
Yeah, we've got all of those Saturday games that are forecast to be hit by a lot of weather, including that Bears game hosting the Bills in Chicago. By the way, speaking of the Bills, we are giving away a free signed Isaiah McKenzie Buffalo Bills mini helmet from Pristine Auction. If you want a chance to win it, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now and comment below on the video. We will announce a winner in a future episode, so turn on those notifications. Right, Fitz, we're recording this on Thursday morning, so, snowpocalypse, it might end up being a real thing. Maybe not. Maybe all of these games that went down into the 30s with their totals, maybe some of them don't get hit by weather as severely as we are projecting. And, for the first time all year, a whole slate of overs ends up cashing. That would actually be a Christmas miracle indeed. But so those are all of the Christmas Eve games happening on Saturday. In this episode, you and I are going to be talking about the 3 Sunday Christmas Day games and then also Monday Night Football. And that first one on the slate is your beloved Packers on the road playing the Dolphins in, this has got to be like the warmest weather on the slate. And so we have, 49.5 as the total. I believe that is the highest total on the slate here. And the Dolphins favored by 4 points. The money line for the Dolphins minus 200 plus 165 on the Green Bay Packers. If you are feeling spicy and thinking that the Packers are able to continue their inevitable run into the postseason. Fitz, do you have any opinion on this game? I've got an opinion on this game. Do you have an opinion on this game?
Yeah, and by the way, Freedman, just all the Saturday games, it seems like most of these are going to be played on the ice planet Hoth. And on Sunday, we've got games in Miami, Los Angeles, Arizona, and then the Monday Nighter in the Dome in Indianapolis. So no weather effects at all in these games we're going to talk about today after Saturday, which is just going to be interesting to see, and one of those days where you're glad you're watching it inside on TV and not at the stadium.
Yeah, and side note, like for people who are inclined to play DFS, that might be an interesting 3-game, one-day slate, sort of like the Thanksgiving slate that's super popular. Here we have it on Christmas. No weather impacting any of those games, so it may be a little bit easier to make projections and create your lineups. But yeah, go ahead, Fitz.
So I like Miami a little bit here, even though they're quietly on a 3-game losing streak. And I say quietly because I think they got a lot of respect for that narrow loss in Buffalo in the bad weather. So, I think they almost sort of burnished their playoff contender cred, even though they've lost 3 straight, which is sort of odd. I just don't know if the Packers are going to be able to match firepower with them. I mean, I guess Christian Watson has given them a little bit of the quick strike capability that they had before they lost Devontae Adams, but, really not much otherwise. This is kind of a team that has to go on these long drives if they're going to win. And I think no Rashawn Gary is a problem for them. Their, very good edge rusher has been on IR for a while now, and they need to get pressure on Tua to shorten his time in the pocket and not let him find Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that without Rashawn Gary. So I'm kind of worried about that. I think the Dolphins just have a little more offensive firepower here. I'm kind of curious as to what you think about this total. I'm not sure what to do with it. Like, my projections keep showing value on the under. Maybe that's the pace, that the Packers are a leisurely 30th in offensive pace, and the Dolphins are only 17th. They're not like a quick moving team. And as I mentioned, just like Green Bay not really having a lot of that quick score capability, but at the same time, 4 of the last 5 Packers games have gone over. So, like, I want to like the under here, but I'm sort of torn on it.
Yeah, I'm as far as the total goes, I'm right on the market. I have it at 49.3. So ever so slight lean to the under here. And it for primarily for the under, it is the pace. The Packers, they can play very slowly. I imagine they will want to run the ball where they can. Miami, they can play at a decent pace, but I think they will probably attack via the ground game because that is certainly where the Packers are most vulnerable, ranking 31 or 32 in basically any run defense metric that you look at. And so if Miami is attacking more via the ground game, that will slow down the pace of play for them. And so you could see how, if one of these teams is just able to get, one of those long drives that takes up like half a quarter, and you can see how that would happen with either of them, that will make this game very likely go to the under. That said, the Packers, over their past, I think you mentioned like 5 games or so, they have been going to the over, and part of it is the defensive inefficiency that they have. Like, they can be exploited on defense, and Miami, especially playing at home, is the type of team that could exploit them and put up points. And then Green Bay has actually been pretty efficient offensively over the past 5 games. Like, they're starting to come on offense on a per play basis. That doesn't mean, because they're not running many plays, that doesn't mean they're scoring a lot of points, but on a per play basis, they've been pretty decent. And so if they are kind of pushed into a situation where they need to play faster, need to score more points, maybe they can do that because of the enhanced efficiency they've shown recently. So I can see the case for the over. I see the case for the under. I'm not betting it either way. I am, however, betting on Miami at -4. I think this number should be -5.5. And, it's primarily because of the fact that even though the Packers have gotten better offensively, they're still not great offensively. And they've been efficient, but they haven't been efficient with pace. So I'm still skeptical that they can combine both of those things to put up enough points. In Miami, all 3 of these games that they've lost, they've been on the road. They've been in kind of tougher circumstances, especially that last game in Buffalo. I still have them as I've moved them to the number 17. Like, I think there's this clear top tier of 6 teams. You have the Chiefs, the Bills up at the top, and then in some order, you've got Philadelphia, Dallas, San Francisco, and you have the Bengals, given what they've done over the past 2 months, the Bengals who have jettisoned into that top 6. But, after them, you could make an argument for a number of teams at number 7. And for me, it's the Dolphins. I think Tua he's not playing at an MVP caliber, but he's playing at highly efficient level, paired with a play caller who is doing a lot for that offense. And so I think whether they're passing or whether they're throwing, those two same things, whether they're passing or they're running against a defense that really can't stop anyone on the ground, I think they're going to be able to put up points. So I do like Miami -4 here. Fitz, any final thoughts here on Miami or Green Bay before we go to the next game?
No, just in talking about Tua, maybe there would have been a little bit of trepidation about backing Tua in this game and the Dolphins, if not for his good performance against Buffalo. He kind of needed that after 2 down performances, completing under 50% of his throws the 2 previous games.
Yeah.
So like that, I think that sort of assuaged any of the concerns we might have had about this offense maybe going through a slump.
Yeah. All right. So this next game we have interesting matchup. You have Tampa Bay on the road in Arizona. This is actually no. Sorry, my mistake. Before that, we've got Denver on the road in Los Angeles playing the Rams. Denver favored by 2.5 points, a 36.5 over under. Fitz, do you have any opinions on this game? It looks like Russell Wilson is definitely going to play. He's out of the concussion protocol, wasn't even listed on the Wednesday injury report. So Russell Wilson is in. A whole lot of players for the Rams are out. Where are you leaning here?
Yeah, you said interesting game, and I was wondering if you were maybe looking at something else, because we've laughed for talked about this game for a couple of weeks now, and seeing this as the NFL's Christmas present to us, Broncos Rams on Christmas Day. And it's funny, who could have imagined that this would not be the lowest total on the board? Didn't see the weather thing coming and pushing all these other games under, but funny that just two sinkhole offenses like this. And I want to like the Broncos here, Freedman, because the Rams are just so bad. The way that team is built and this top-heavy approach, the stars and scrubs approach, as it were. Well, when the stars are hurt, that doesn't leave a lot. No Matthew Stafford, no Cooper Kupp, no Aaron Donald. I don't know if Donald's coming back for this one, but, really no incentive for them to hurry him back into action. So what's left is just not a very good team. And on the other hand, what's to like about the Broncos? I mean, this offense has struggled all season. The defense is terrific. And I don't know how the Rams get past about 17 points. Like, I feel like that's about their ceiling as far as how many points they could possibly score in this game, and under 10 is a distinct possibility. But the Broncos are 0-4 as favorites of 2.5 points or more. I didn't even notice this until a friend who's a Broncos fan was complaining about it the other day, but he was talking about how awful the Broncos special teams have been all year, and I hadn't really noticed. Yeah, Football Outsiders has them dead last in special teams DVOA, although the Rams are 25th, and the Rams somehow just managed to make the Packers' terrible special teams look great the other night. Yeah. So we could just see a special teams comedy hour here in this game. Yeah, so I guess I like the under here. 36.5 feels a little tall, even with Russell Wilson returning to the Broncos. And I mean, if I was forced to take a side, I guess I'd pick Denver, but I just have a hard time betting them with any confidence. Even against the Rams, they just do not inspire confidence as a 2.5 point favorite.
Yeah, so I tend to like the under in Broncos games. That's just what I do. I haven't bet it yet, in part because I was waiting to see on the Russell Wilson news, but also I like the Broncos more in this game than I like the under. The line, as you mentioned, 36.5 is the total. I have it projected at 35.8, so not all that far off from market. And I see a bigger discrepancy on the spread here. So it's at 2.5. I have it with Russell Wilson playing in this game. I have it at 3.75. And, that's taking into account that, for the Rams, center Brian Allen is now out for the year. Wide receiver Ben Skoranek is out for the year, which that might not mean much, but it's like they don't have much at wide receiver with Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson already gone. Skoranek is now gone. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they are totally exploitable. I don't want to say Jalen Ramsey has been like a shell of himself, but he hasn't been as dominant as he has been in previous years. And given all of the other issues they have on their defense, it's coming back to haunt them. And on the defensive interior, they are already without Ashawn Robinson. Aaron Donald didn't practice on Wednesday. He hasn't played, in I think at least the last 2 games. And then also Marquise Copeland, their other defensive tackle, he didn't play last week. He didn't practice on Wednesday. I don't think he's playing in this game. So they're missing their 3 top defensive interior linemen. They are highly exploitable. And if there's one thing the Broncos will probably want to do to protect Russell Wilson, it's run the ball. And they actually did that fairly well last week, which is kind of amazing. But with Latavius Murray and Marlon Mack, somehow they weren't the worst team in the league last week. And maybe they look to do that again. So I think the Rams, given their current state, they're a bottom 3 team. And the Broncos, with their defense, are not quite as bad. And so anything less than a field goal here, I think is probably too short. So, man, I don't feel good about backing Russell Wilson, but it's really the team that they're going up against. And I think, they were fully shown to be fraudulent isn't even the right word because there's no one that believes in them, but the moxie, the comeback moxie that they exhibited on Thursday Night Football a couple of weeks ago when they were able to come back and win a game, that was totally gone on Monday Night Football last week. They just showed they're dead. And so we have a team with a pretty good defense and at least a starter caliber quarterback going against a team that is totally dead and on its like fourth quarterback of the season who wasn't even on the team 3 weeks ago. I will take the Broncos here.
Yeah. Just two last points. So I've got this projected at Broncos by 3.5. But the other thing that's giving me pause is McVay versus Hackett. Like that
Yes.
bothers me a little bit. I just like laying points with the Hackett side. Something about that doesn't feel great.
The dude literally has the name Hack. He has the word hack in his name.
It's right there. And the other thing, I just want to say, like, Jalen Ramsey, when the Rams' top guys started dropping like flies, Kupp, Stafford, Aaron Donald, I really thought like they were going to just shut down Jalen Ramsey with some sort of, all of a sudden ankle injury pops up. But not only has he played, and I know he has not been the lockdown cover guy that he has been in the past, granted, but like he is not packed it in by any means. He rocked AJ Dillon with a hit the other night. That just like, got to respect that he is still out there like throwing himself at this 240-pound running back and just, blasting him. So I respect for Jalen Ramsey for being like the one superstar the Rams have who's still out there balling.
Yeah. What are the odds that when Nathaniel Hackett gets fired, one of the Denver newspapers has the headline of like, couldn't hack it? Like they're definitely, someone's going to do that.
I've got a friend who's actually in the works in the sports department of the Denver Post, and he's probably going to be the guy writing that headline. So I would say the odds are very good that that's going to be his come up for him.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the straightforward option is the best one. Okay, so rounding out the Christmas Day games at night, 8:20 Eastern, we've got Tampa Bay on the road in Arizona. 40.5 is the total here, and the Buccaneers now favored by 7.5. A team that can't cover for the life of them is now favored by 7.5, and minus 365 on the money line. But of course, it's the circumstances. Given everything that Arizona has going on now, Trace McSorley starting in this game, I have the Cardinals power rated as the worst team in the league now, given their quarterback situation. And I think it's very much deserved. They also have issues on defense, like their secondary has just been ripped to shreds. And then their starting offensive line is basically entirely out now. And so you've got a third string quarterback behind a backup offensive line. It's bad news. Tampa Bay isn't fully healthy for this game, but I think they're healthy enough. So what do you see out of this game here?
Man, I see a game that I do not want to touch in any way, shape, or form, Freedman. I'm not sure I even want to watch it. I might just watch the Aloha Bowl instead of this one. But I take that back. The Aloha Bowl is the 24th. Never mind. So
There's a lot of basketball on that game.
A lot of basketball.
That night, yeah.
So I think McSorley is terrible, and I thought he was overrated even when he's at Penn State. Although I suppose Penn State fans now with Sean Clifford would probably take McSorley back in a heartbeat. But yes, like it is a major downgrade, and that is going to torpedo this team. But man, the Buccaneers are 3-10-1 against the spread this year. Like they are just the worst team you could possibly bet on. They're 0-3 when favored by more than a touchdown this year. They've got a lot of concerning DNPs in practice this week.
They do.
On defense, Jamel Dean, Vita Vea, Antoine Winfield Jr., Carl Nassib, Keanu Neal, and on offense, Donovan Smith, their left tackle. So like, they've got some major injury problems. I mean, they've got Brady throwing it in the last 4 games, 43, 54, 55, and 44 times. Like they've just completely abandoned the run because they can't run effectively on anyone. Maybe that's a recipe for this hitting a low total, like going over the total, since the Cardinals have allowed like a 69.7% completion rate this year. and have the third worst opponent passer rating. Like maybe the Buccaneers can just firebomb this Arizona defense and push this game over the really low number. But man, that's probably going to involve Trace McSorley doing something. And I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, the Buccaneers have had Brady throw a lot. He leads the league in completions and pass attempts. And it's not like because they're lighting it up the way they did last year. It's just because they've needed to have him throw the ball. I have this at 6.5. So, below the key number of 7, if as the market stands now, I had to make a bet on it, it's disgusting, but I probably would bet on Cliff Kingsbury as an underdog, given everything that you said, all the injury issues that we see with Tampa Bay, especially on the defense. And then, as you mentioned, now left tackle, Donovan Smith dealing with a foot injury, Tristan Wirfs probably going to play, but I don't think he played last week. Like, I think we expected him to play and then he didn't play. So it's not a given that he ends up playing this week. So 7.5 feels like it's just like the market has extended itself a little too much. If it were at 7, I would understand it. 6.5 is where I think it should be. But I mean, shout out me. I bet it at 3.5. So that's like I knew that Colt McCoy was very unlikely, or my sense was that he was very unlikely and that the market would move. And by the way, when I got it at 3.5, I logged it in the Betting Pros app where you can sync up with sportsbooks, get free betting advice and picks, and track different experts and your own bets. And you can set alerts. We monitor all the major sports books. So when one of them has a line move that hits a threshold, you get an alert that tells you where to make the bet at the book that provides the most value at that moment. So it's just like a great way of streamlining your betting process. Download the app today in the Apple or Google Play Store. Man, I don't want to watch this game. I'm not going to. I'm not going to watch this game. Because I've bet on it. I'm just going to sort of monitor a little bit throughout the night by looking at the Betting Pros app and kind of tracking it. But not going to be betting it certainly at these numbers. And in terms of the total, I believe I am in line with the market here. Yeah, I have it projected exactly 40.5. So if I hadn't established the earlier position, I would have no interest at all in this game here. All right, so Monday Night Football. We have the Chargers at the Colts. This is an interesting game, not so much because of what's going to happen on the field, but just all of the dynamics going around with the Colts. They just lost the largest lead in NFL history. Well, let me rephrase that. I framed that poorly. They didn't have the largest lead. They gave up out of any team to be ahead and then lose a game. They had the largest lead at 33 points. Absolutely unbelievable that they were able to get out to that kind of lead, but a lot of it was luck induced. It's not like they were just out there totally, just doing whatever they wanted on offense. And then, of course, they gave it up because they have a really conservative offense. And now they're going to their third string quarterback, who really should have been the backup quarterback to begin with, but he was the third string quarterback, and Nick Foles. And the thing is, Foles has been running things with the scout team for the entire year. So it's not as if there's really even an offense to know, but he hasn't been practicing the Colts offense with any of the guys he's going to be playing with. This could be a hilarious game that we see. The thing is, it's the Chargers, and you never really feel good about betting the Chargers as anything more than 2.5-point favorites. So I don't know. This game right now, the market is 4.5 for the Chargers favored. 44.5 is the total, minus 215 on the money line for the Chargers, plus 180 on the Colts. Fitz, what are you thinking with this game here?
I have no less confidence betting any team than the Chargers. Like, the Chargers have been a complete mystery to me all season. I looked in their 8-5-1 against the number this year, and I wouldn't have bet that they were that good against the number in total. Maybe because it's seems like whenever I have confidence in them, they totally collapse on themselves. Freedman, like, I don't know how the Colts possibly regroup from that loss. And one thing I guess they do is they bench Matt Ryan, who at this point I think would have been just this walking avatar of that colossal collapse. So maybe it's the best thing that they did that. I feel terrible for Ryan. It's a bad way to go out, probably the end of his career, but a move they had to make, I think, to continue on. And here's the
sorry,
thing.
just to say that might you're right. That actually might be the last start of his career. Like the guy who's known for the big loss in the Super Bowl, the come from behind loss in the Super Bowl. Now with that as his last game, that's sad.
Oh man, I know. Yeah, very sad. And the thing is, though, we have seen some respectable performances actually from the Colts since Jeff Saturday took over. Like we saw the road win in Las Vegas. We saw the 1-point loss to the Eagles where they almost pulled it out at the end. They had a really good start, obviously, against Minnesota. They played Dallas tough for 3 quarters before they completely collapsed in the fourth quarter of that game and just got, dump trucked late in that. So, but maybe this is just it. Like, how many really bad collapses can one team withstand? And now no Jonathan Taylor running back. It doesn't look like they're going to have Kenny Moore. And, going against the Chargers, a team with a lot of firepower at wide receiver, not a good week to be without Kenny Moore, your best slot corner. So, yeah, like if I was going to bet this, and I probably will since it's a standalone game on Monday night, I think I would lay the points with the Chargers in this one. And I'm a little inclined to go towards the under here because of the points you made about Nick Foles. And it's not like the Chargers have been like this explosive high scoring offense. This total seems, even though weather will not be a factor, and Justin Herbert's one of the better quarterbacks in the game, I feel like this number still is a little too high.
Yeah, it's not as if the Chargers are attacking downfield aggressively with Justin Herbert. Like they are very content just to let him move the ball down the field casually. Yeah. I have it projected to the over. And part of that is just because of the defense that we've seen out of the Chargers and the Colts, in theory, they can run the ball, but they really can't. Like, I don't have any faith in my projection of 46.9. Like, I'm not betting that. And I don't have any faith also in my projection of this game, should be 3.75. So in theory, there's a little bit of value here on the Colts. Like, I'm not betting it. I'm staying away. There, for me, too many uncertainties with Nick Foles coming in. And like if I had to bet it, just not looking at my numbers at all, it would be the Chargers because I just, they are getting right. They're heading in the right direction. Derwin James, I think he has a decent chance of returning for this game. So they are close to being as healthy as they are going to be for the rest of the season. And the Colts are just absolutely going in the wrong direction. So I'm not betting it. If I had to, it would be the Chargers here.
Yeah, that's the direction I'm pointed to.
All right. So Fitz, you 2 questions here. What are you doing for Christmas? And then what are you working right now at Betting Pros and Fantasy Pros?
Good. So Christmas Eve we'll be going up to my mom and stepdad's and feasting on beef tenderloin and scallops. So I'm excited about that. Good.
That's pretty good.
That is a really good meal. And, at the end of a long day of watching football and pretending to pay attention to my family, that's going to hit the spot for sure. And what am I working on right now? The next thing I'm going to do and something I'm going to be paying attention to all afternoon, player props, Freedman. And, I was fighting the juice for a long time this season, but the last 4 weeks, I think I'm like 22-7 on player props. So it's been going really well. Hopefully, there are going to be some interesting numbers. I'm just worried that the slate is not going to be that big this week. Like I haven't even looked at the numbers yet.
Because of the weather.
Yeah.
I think, and quarterback uncertainty. Yeah.
Right. I think it's going to be a pretty limited menu this week. One of those games where one of the weeks where I might only get to pick like 5 or 6 props. So I don't know. Hopefully the menu is not as limited as I anticipate it being. Yeah. How about you? What's your Christmas going to be?
I think just kind of hanging out here, relaxing. We tend to open gifts on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day is just sort of like a let's relax, Let's put on some movies, have the fire going. And normally, like, this might sound kind of weird because it's not like we're Italian or anything, but like we've sort of like settled into this meal of like a lot of spaghetti and sausage for like the Christmas meal, like the past couple of years. So yeah, I think that's what we might do again. I don't know, but just trying to relax, just
Nice.
enjoying the season.
I like the Italian Christmas. That sounds pretty delicious to me.
Yeah. So do you do eggnog?
I do. In fact, I had a little last night with a little splash of bourbon. What about you?
So, yeah, I mean, I like eggnog. Of course, for this season and last year, I haven't been drinking. Before that, it was rum in the eggnog. So you do bourbon. I do rum. It seems like, you could put almost anything in there and it would be acceptable.
I think so. I think rum is probably more common, but I've found to me, it goes a little bit better with bourbon. It's close though.
You have the sophisticated palate though.
If someone hands me a rum eggnog, I'm not going to push it away.
All right. He's Fitz. I'm Freedman, Matt F. The Oracle. Check out Betting Pros and Fantasy Pros for all of our work, best bets, player props, fantasy favorites, player projections and rankings, and more. If you like the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app. That is going to do it for this special Week 16 Christmas Day and Monday Night Football breakdown. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck. Have a great holiday weekend and see you next episode.